That is a lake. And this is a river. Yes, I know. This is wearing Yamaha badges. It is named the EC-06. But really, this is the story of an Indian electric scooter that went to Japan and came back a huge fanboy. And over the course of this video, I will try and explain what I mean by that. My name is Amaan Ahmed. You are watching Carandbike, and this is our first meeting with the Yamaha EC-06. But what's good about it and what's not so good about it, I'm going to tell you in this video. But before we get into the meat of this story, if you're new to this channel, then remember to hit subscribe as well as the bell icon so you're notified every time we come out with a video on the newest car, motorcycle or electric two-wheeler. Now let's meet the EC-06. For those of you who aren't familiar, River is an electric two-wheeler startup which came out with the Indy e-scooter back in 2023. And it was an impressive model because it won the Scooter of the Year title at the Carandbike Awards in 2024. And it ended up impressing everybody across the industry, including Yamaha. Yamaha was so impressed that it ended up investing in River. And as a result of that, the EC-06 was born as Yamaha's first electric two-wheeler for the Indian market. But I'm afraid this is a River Indy that made a trip to Japan and came back wearing, yes, Yamaha clothing. The EC-06 ditches the Indy's large twin-pod headlights in favor of a more sophisticated single-piece headlight. Its apron wears a more chiseled, muscular look compared to the Indy's blunt and buff front end. Even the side panel below the seat is designed to minimize visual mass on what is a sizable scooter. But if you were to obscure the bodywork and the reshaped lighting elements, this is practically the Indy because the cycle parts are exactly the same. Even the mirrors have been carried over. Perceived quality and fit and finish are quite good, but once again, this is credit to River, which is manufacturing the EC-06 at its own plant in Bengaluru. One of the main attractions with the Indy though was that it was clever, innovative and practical. And unfortunately, quite a lot of those things have been left out of the Yamaha package. For starters, the EC-06 has 24.5 liters of under-seat storage space compared to the cavernous 43 liters you get with the Indy. The base of this space isn't flat, and the pronounced slope means you won't be able to fit most large full-face helmets here, even though half-face helmets should fit comfortably. The Indy also has a lockable glove compartment, which has simply been deleted from the EC-06, along with the clever front foot pegs and the provision to integrate pannier mounts. Yamaha says its target audience is a more upmarket private use buyer who values style over substance. But still, it's hard to ignore these differences. And even if you were to miss the association between Yamaha and River, you can't miss it on the scooter because the grips have River branding on them, as does the drive assembly. It's a little bit like looking into an Audi or a Lamborghini and finding Volkswagen logos. But for a scooter that will cost nearly 2 lakh rupees on road, there are quite a few things that don't match its premium positioning. This key, for example, feels like it belongs on a budget scooter. And the charger that's bundled with the EC-06 will take 10 hours for a full charge. But maybe there's something new about the riding experience. If it looks different at a standstill, can it also feel different on the road? On a full charge, it displayed 111 kilometers in Eco. But first, let's test what the performance is like in this mode. Honestly, gentle is the word that comes to mind because I actually whacked the throttle open. In this mode, it's taken its own sweet time to get to what appears to be a top speed of around 50 and indicated 50 kilometers an hour in Eco. So it's usable, but this is the mode to use when you're not really in a hurry and you're just looking to cruise around. Of course, this mode is designed to maximize range from the 4 kilowatt hour battery. This is the same battery that you see in the River Indy. And since I'm mentioning performance, let me also talk about the motor output. The motor once again is the same that you get with the Indy. And here too you have chain drive now. Originally the Indy was a belt driven scooter. Now it employs chain drive, and that is what you will see on the EC-06 as well. For regular users, eco mode will be sufficient for dealing with everyday city traffic, even though it doesn't quite feel peppy, I would say. If you want peppy, you'll have to go to standard, because standard has an additional kick to it when you open the throttle. As you can see, it's getting to a speed of around 70 kilometers an hour quite easily in this mode. And I think this might be the mode that you end up riding in for most of the time, because this will give you sufficient performance to overtake slow moving traffic. You will also be able to cut through gaps reasonably easily. Though you have to remember, this is a fairly sizable scooter. It's a fairly big scooter and it weighs 132 kilos. So it's not exactly light. It is a little bit lighter than the River Indy, but this isn't the lightest of scooters. You won't feel the weight so much on the move, but you will definitely be aware of it at parking lot speeds when you're just trying to maybe engage the main stand or just trying to maneuver it around a parking lot. Let me talk about the tires. The tires are chunky and you have pretty good grip from them. As you can see, I'm going through a series of corners, and these aren't the best corners because the surface is broken in most of these, but it feels quite nice and planted across these as well. You have substantial confidence thanks to the 14-inch wheels at either end. So these add to the feeling of solidity that the EC-06 offers, much like you'd find with the River Indy. I think now it's time we switch to the naughty mode, which is power. As you can see, power has dropped range right down. So with a full charge, it displayed around 70 kilometers. Right now with 84% charge, I see 61 kilometers of range, which is a low figure, but this is the mode in which you can get max power, just like you get with the Indy, and peak 26 Newton meters of torque. Let's see what it's like by attacking a few corners in power mode. Immediately you can feel there is a marked difference in how quickly this gets up to 75 kilometers an hour. The response from part throttle inputs to full throttle in power mode is pretty strong, is pretty notable. You feel that there is a clear difference in these ride modes because Eco, of course, is set up for maximum range and efficiency, and power is the least efficient mode. So this is where you're really having fun, and this is where the EC-06 feels most like a Yamaha. Let me talk quickly about the ride. When you're riding alone, you will feel more of the surface. You will feel a lot more of the bumps coming through. I had a chance to ride with my photographer earlier, and what I can tell you is the ride is a lot more settled when you have a pillion with you. Otherwise, the rear tends to get a little bit bumpy. It's not the most comfortable experience. Even the front, you have pretty good feedback, but it does tend to judder over broken surfaces, and it's not a comfortable feeling, especially when you're riding for extended periods of time. The brakes are strong. I must give Yamaha credit for this, or River credit for this, because the brakes bring this scooter to a complete standstill with no drama whatsoever. There's no ABS here, but the combined braking system and the disc brakes at either end provide strong enough stopping power, and in most scenarios you won't be lacking for stopping power. So overall, it can be fun, but this is pretty much the same riding experience that you have on the River Indy. There's nothing decidedly Yamaha about riding the EC-06. The EC-06 undoubtedly retains some of the River Indy's biggest strengths, but it also forgoes quite a few of them. Also, you have to remember that this costs more than the River Indy, around 21 to 22,000 rupees more ex-showroom, and the on-road price difference will be a little bit higher as well. So overall, it doesn't feel quite as value for money as the Indy, But at the same time, the EC-06 is a quality first attempt from Yamaha in the electric two-wheeler space. Because let's be honest, the likes of Bajaj, TVS and Ather do not have a product like this in their portfolio at this time. Also, Yamaha does have a wider network than River, so this scooter will be able to reach the masses a lot quicker. However, I feel like if you live somewhere where you can find a River dealership and a Yamaha dealership, you will be tempted to go with an Indy instead. And while this is a perfectly capable maiden electric two-wheeler product from Yamaha, I can't help but wish it was a real Yamaha. But maybe this is not the end of the story. Maybe there is a real electric Yamaha for us to try out today.
You can feel it pulsate!
Maybe this is the scooter that flips the script. Maybe this is the scooter that brings prominence to Yamaha's name in the electric two-wheeler industry. You're looking at the Aerox E. Unlike the EC-06, this has nothing to do with any other manufacturer other than Yamaha. It looks like the petrol-powered Aerox, but the question is, can it really excite you in the same fashion? Let's head out and find out. The Aerox is immediately off to a better start, purely on the basis of its looks. It helps that the Aerox is already a fan favorite in India, albeit with its petrol engine. And the electric twin is looking to ride that momentum. Aside from the EV-specific colorway and the different drive assembly, most would fail to tell the Aerox E apart from its combustion engine sibling. It looks smart, confident and every bit a Yamaha. The feeling continues when you hit the road on the Aerox E, as long as you don't look down at the dash.
So let me tell you right off the bat that you might get the shock of your life when you get on the Aerox E for the first time, because the battery is fully charged and I'm in eco mode, which is of course the most efficient mode, and yet the range displayed is just 52 kilometers. If I switch modes and go to standard, it is 38 kilometers, and if I switch to power, which is the most extreme mode, it drops to 23 kilometers. That's with a full charge. But I'm not sure if this range estimate is accurate, but we'll see how it turns out as we ride it. Now let's head out. Okay, let's first try out eco mode and see what performance is like in this mode. A slight hesitation when you open the throttle fully, because of course in this mode the scooter is trying to conserve range to a certain extent, and of course in this mode performance isn't befitting what you'd expect from an Aerox. As you can see right now, I am limited to about 51 kilometers an hour indicated, and that is about what you can expect from an eco mode on pretty much any electric scooter. Let's give standard mode a try. Feels more eager for sure in this mode, and it'll breeze past 50 kmph with ease. Definitely feels more sprightly in standard mode, and this once again will be the mode of choice for about 90% users for daily riding. Let's see how hard it pulls in power mode. Okay, now we're talking. This ride mode is a lot of fun as long as you don't look down at the range estimate. What does boost mode do? Let's see. Yes! Oh, okay, alright. I see where you're going with this, Yamaha. Wow, I didn't expect that. That turbo mode, that feels special. You can see the clock going back up because you can only use turbo mode for about 10 seconds. That is done essentially to preserve the battery and the motor, because otherwise they'll overheat and your scooter will come to a grinding halt. And you can see it takes a little bit of time to come back up to 10 seconds, because that's the maximum time limit you can use it for. But really, when you have to execute quick overtakes, I can't think of another electric two-wheeler that does that. Let's try it here. Whoa! You can feel it pulsate! Wow! That's crazy! I mean, of course, when you open the throttle wide in power mode, you can of course feel the scooter pull pretty hard. But when you press that turbo switch, oh my god, the effect is so pronounced. It legitimately feels like a turbocharger kicked in. And this is an electric scooter. It's a fun machine, this. That's all it is. You're not supposed to be commuting on this because I don't think it'll be comfortable enough on most of our urban roads. But I can't. I just have to use turbo once again on this open stretch. Okay, here we go. Whoa! I'm pushed back in my seat. Whoa. Whoa. So just to give you a quick recap, peak power figures from this motor are 12.6 horsepower. Of course, it's in turbo mode that you get both those peak outputs. You can access those for 10 seconds at a time. The ride is definitely not welcoming. I'm sure most Aerox owners will be able to relate to that sentiment. But even with the Aerox E, the ride is quite lumpy. A lot of road imperfections filter through. The front end is communicative, which is great. But a lot of the bumps will reach you through the rear suspension as well. And I imagine it will get quite tiring after a long ride on this scooter. Oh. Let me show you what the brakes are like. You have disc brakes and single channel ABS on this scooter. You're at 65 hard stop, and it stopped pretty quickly, even though the speedo took a little while to register the decrease in speed. But it stops predictably and strongly, and this is something you will definitely appreciate on a scooter which can accelerate as rapidly as the Aerox E can. Interestingly enough, battery charge level has dropped. So when I started it was 99%, we're down to 81. But the estimated range has not moved in power mode. It has varied a little bit in the standard and eco modes, but in power it has practically remained unchanged. It's only come down by a little bit. So I'm not entirely sure if this range estimate is accurate. I think we'll need to check with Yamaha on why there is a certain discrepancy in the range estimate. Well, okay, now this is strange. Now power has dropped suddenly. I'm really confused by this range estimate. It keeps fluctuating, and not by small numbers either. It's sometimes over 20 kilometers in power mode, sometimes it's dipping to 18 kilometers, 17 kilometers. It's really hard to get an understanding of just how much range you have left, because it keeps doing that, and I'm not sure what logic Yamaha has applied to reach this range estimate.
But the wonky range estimate isn't the only issue. Leaving the scooter under the sun for even 20 to 30 minutes resulted in it overheating, and you could see signs of the empty battery cells flashing on the display, and the temperature gauge was also lit. So the scooter refused to start entirely. Leaving it in a shaded area for an extended period of time cooled it down, and now the scooter has decided to start up again. But I feel like this should not be a problem in a country like India, where people park in the open for extended periods of time. It would be a massive inconvenience to come out and find out that you can't ride your scooter just yet. There are multiple ways to charge the Aerox E, so you can plug it in just like you would with a fixed battery scooter. Interesting thing is that this port design is the LECCS design. This is the one that was patented by Ather Energy. Ather pioneered this, and the same standard is also followed by Vida and Matter. The good news with this is that hopefully in the future, if LECCS becomes a national standard and is rolled out across the country by multiple OEMs, then there is scope for interoperability with this port. And there is some space for the charger as well built in right over here. But under the seat, you will find two removable batteries. So in case you can't find a fixed charging spot, you can simply take the batteries out and charge them at home. But the flexibility in charging comes at the cost of practicality. You see, the Aerox E is built on a modified combustion scooter platform, and the traction batteries are placed directly beneath the seat, which means that once again, the underseat compartment is tight on space, and the protrusion caused by the batteries means you won't be able to fit any large items in here, forget a full face helmet. The batteries under the seat also create another subtle but important issue. Compared to the petrol Aerox, the electric version seat is 20 millimeters higher, which leads to an awkward riding position, which is more commuter than it is sporty and not befitting an Aerox. Yamaha hasn't shared a price for the Aerox E yet, and it is expected that this will be launched in April. For now, from what I understand, Yamaha intends to price this at well over 2,50,000 rupees ex-showroom, and the company believes that it will find takers because there are takers for performance at every price point, even if it is a lofty price point. But let's face it, while this offers addictive performance, the overall experience of riding the Aerox E is far from perfect at this point in time, and that really is what you want when you're paying top dollar for a brand new electric scooter. It's clear that the Aerox E has qualities you will grow to love, but at this point in time, it just feels unfinished, and Yamaha would do well to address all of these concerns before it brings this scooter to market, because Yamaha really is entering a space which is practically unexplored at this point in time. In India, we have something like the BMW CE-02, which is an outlandish electric two-wheeler which is quite expensive. And then you have something like the stillborn TVS X, which was priced at 2,50,000 rupees. So the Aerox E can really have a very exclusive part of the market all to itself. But for that, it needs to be fit for consumption. Unfortunately, the real Yamaha, the real electric Yamaha at this point in time does not paint a pretty picture. So that was my first impression of both Yamaha electric scooters. But what do you think of them? Do you like the EC-06 more, or do you like the Aerox E better? Which of their features did you find to be the most interesting, and which one do you think you'll end up buying? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed watching this video and found it informative, then remember to give us the thumbs up. And if you know somebody who would be interested in either of these Yamaha electric scooters, then remember to share this video with them.